Evening. God, I've just thought then, just before we came on, what week are we on? Is it week 6 or 7?
Six, six or seven. It's one of the two.
Yes. The time flies.
It
It
does.
flies. Some really good questions today. So I think we just kind of jump in the usual kind of routines and the usual wins. So we've got people managing progress despite illness. I know Gina's said that she's finished half term. Fortunately, she wasn't ill in half term and then has just suddenly come down with illness. There's loads going around. So
Yeah.
there is a little bit just at the end and a reminder about what to do when you're not feeling 100%. But yeah, some really good wins. Key focus this week, or key focuses. I think again, making sure that you do prioritize recovery. We do say that, but it's rest. Don't smash yourself to bits during the week. You do need some rest and recovery, and that's something that I am actually taking on board myself and giving myself rest days during the week, which is definitely paying off. I'm feeling a load more energy. I think I just did too much and felt knackered a couple of weeks ago. Um, Keep your nutrition simple and consistent. That's a message I keep banging on about. Both of us keep banging on about, and I have been hammering that massively this week, particularly in the gym. And then hydration, protein, movement, the usual routines. All right, questions. Good one, this one. So it's this one is from Carrie, and it's about fasted cardio. What was the actual question? That's a really good. Um, so she actually asked on the form, I work out early, so I don't eat before training, and she can't eat at 4:30 a.m. Absolutely get that one. Are fasted strength training and running sessions good or bad, Alice?
Guess it depends what you mean by good or bad. Like they're not really either, I guess. Like it's not they're not like a some kind of magic key that's going to unlock fat loss, but you're not going to suffer or cause yourself to gain weight or anything to go wrong if you do them. So they're not really good or bad in that sense. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
Um, if you've eaten well the day before, you've had like a carby evening meal or something, as long as you've had like that portion of carbs for dinner, your body doesn't suddenly get to midnight and go, well, that's that day's food, so we'll just forget about that and we can't use it the next day. So what you've got to remember is if you've eaten your evening meal and you've done all those, you've had your balanced meals the day before, you can still use that in those sessions early the next morning. So absolutely, I can't eat that early in the morning either. If I'm training in the morning, sometimes I'm better to train fasted. If I'm doing like a morning run, I'll often train fasted and have my breakfast when I get back. So I'll get the protein, get the carbs in after a run, after a bike ride, whatever that is. Um, because for me, that works better. So if you find that that is the better way around for you to do it, absolutely don't feel like you have to force yourself to eat at 4:30 in the morning. If you were going to go out and run a marathon before work at 4:30 in the morning, I'd say, try and get something in you. If not, you definitely want to be fueling up like on your run. But there's nothing wrong with doing it, but it's not necessarily like a good thing. Same as your strength sessions as well. There's no good or bad to them. As long as you've got fuel in you and you've fueled yourself the day before, then absolutely there's no problem with having breakfast after or a little bit later in the day.
Yeah, and I think just to add to that, 100% agree. Just to add to that, I think in terms of the cardio, it's kind of looking at, so you mentioned marathons, it's kind of looking at the duration. If you're
Yeah,
doing 30 minutes of cardio, if you're doing a run, for example, 5K run, for example, you're going to be absolutely fine
yeah,
with, as long as as you've said, as long as you've had a good meal the night before, and you're keeping up the energy levels. I know carries in a deficit, but it's a moderate, small to moderate deficit.
yeah.
So that's absolutely fine. Um, yeah, if it's a short period, you don't need to stress about it. The only thing that I would add to it's around strength training, and
Mm.
it's not that it's bad. It's just that if your goal, this is kind of the thing around kind of muscle building and fat loss. This is why we sort of say you can't really do both at the same time. not to any great degree. You can build muscle in a deficit, uh,
Yeah.
but it's a lot harder. And if you are sort of training early and you're not eating, I'm the same. I can't eat early. So certainly not if I'm exercising. So if you're training early and you can't eat beforehand, you're in a deficit. So the meal the night before is not going to be giving you massive amounts of protein and carbs. So you're going to be in what we call a catabolic state. Your muscle fibers are going to be breaking down, which means that it's not going to be optimal for muscle building in the morning. Now you can counteract that by saying doing what you said, have something to eat very soon afterwards. But it's not an optimal thing. Is it bad? No, I'm not saying that that's bad, because you're still going to get the benefits. It's going to help preserve muscle mass, lean muscle tissue while you're in a deficit, which is what we want. And it will certainly help. You can still build strength and you can still build muscle, but slowly. Um, if we wanted to build muscle quicker, we eat at maintenance or in a very small surplus so that we make sure we're well fueled. And then, the fasted training is less of a concern. I do try I can't train that early in the morning, but I do train in the morning. If I can't eat my breakfast before I train, I will have something generally carby,
Hmm.
like a banana, or a bag of Haribo or something like that before I train, because the carbohydrates give you that muscle preservation. It helps preserve the muscle, and then I'll have some protein afterwards. At the very least, it'll be something like a clear whey protein drink, but. Yeah, absolutely. They're not good. They're not bad. It's fine. The main thing is don't overthink it. The key thing is we always say being consistent with your
Yeah.
training, going to the gym and getting it in, using your muscles. That's the key thing. So yeah. Um, I mean for you, Carrie, I think the key thing is do the session, make sure you have breakfast afterwards and a high protein breakfast. You're all everything's fine.
Yeah.
But no, really good question. Like that one. Next one. Um, I've actually just answered this one today. This is actually quite funny. I've answered this one today in the session I did for the CAB. Um, how is magnesium glycinate different from regular magnesium? She bought magnesium and she didn't realize there were different kinds. So yeah, great question. There are lots of different types.
Mm.
Magnesium oxide, there's magnesium glycinate, magnesium citrate, you've got magnesium chloride. Effectively, and there are more,
Yeah.
there are lots more. But effectively, they're what we call salts. So it's a magnesium metal ion, and it is literally magnesium metal ion, the atoms of magnesium, and they bond it to another substance. Okay. Um, so magnesium oxide is a salt, and it's actually a really stable salt, which means that our body can't absorb it very readily. That's the way. It's obviously
Bonfire night, Will.
finite. There we go. It's actually really not very. It's the cheapest one. It's dead cheap. Um, everybody will have made it in your science lab. If you've ever burned magnesium when you're at school in a Bunsen burner and you get that bright white light, that white powder is magnesium oxide. Not that I would recommend you go and get magnesium ribbon and start burning it. Um, but yeah, effectively that's magnesium oxide. It's dirt cheap, which is why they sell it in the supermarkets, but we can't access it. It's like less than 10% bioavailability. So effectively, if you're taking, so they recommend about 400 milligrams of magnesium. So if you take 400 milligrams of magnesium oxide, you're getting about 40. So it's not great. Um, Other issues with that one, it can cause a little bit of gastrointestinal distress, some bloating and things like that. Can cause a bit of diarrhea. So that's just something to watch out for. You can, some of the other ones, so magnesium citrate, just to be aware of that one, they actually use that as a bit of a laxative. So if you are prone to constipation, it can be good. It is more bioavailable, so you get more of it out, but it does have a laxative effect. So, it's one of those ones that you sometimes find in liquid form, and I've seen people do it as like a TikTok challenge thing. Drink a whole bottle of it and see how it goes. I can tell you now, it never ends well. But yeah, so there is a laxative effect there. And then you've got magnesium chloride, which is a little bit more bioavailable as well and a little bit cheaper. But the best one is magnesium glycinate, depending on what you want to take it for. But it is the most bioavailable. That means that we absorb most of the magnesium. So if you take a 400 milligram tablet of that, you are going to absorb most of it. But the other benefit with that one is the glycinate or the glycine. Glycine is an amino acid. It's got relaxative effect. So you take it, it can calm you down and relax you. So if you're taking that form of magnesium, it does potentially have benefits for sleep. And I say potential here. So there are potential benefits for sleep. There's potential benefits to reduce muscle cramps, muscle relaxant, all of that sort of stuff, which is something that is particularly beneficial during perimenopause. So that's the form that is kind of recommended mostly. Evidence-wise, it's mixed. So will it work for everybody? Chances are it won't, but is it going to cause any harm? No. Most people they're probably a little bit low in magnesium glycinate. And as long as you're only taking sort of a 200 to 400 milligrams, most of the things you buy 400 milligram things, if that's all you're taking, you're not going to be causing any harm. But yeah, so that's the difference. It's really down to absorption and cost. Cheap ones, magnesium oxide, it's pretty pointless because you're only getting something like 5 to 10% of the stuff inside you. Um, the more expensive ones, magnesium glycinate, it's kind of like, it's more expensive. Yeah, but you are going to absorb more of it. So it's a bit of a false economy. You would be trying to consume 10 to get the equivalent dose of magnesium oxide, you're going to have to consume 10 times the amount, but then that's going to cause stomach issues. So, and actually probably end up costing you more in terms of actually buying the stuff. So go for your magnesium glycinate. There are loads of good options out there. There's normally offers as well. Um, so yeah, that and there are some potential benefits there. Cool. Last question. This one is not really a question. It's something because Gina said no questions, but she did say struggling with illness this week, COVID flu like type illness, so haven't been able to exercise much and have been eating just as and when I feel like it. So I just wanted a little bit of a reminder, really, or we wanted to kind of remind you about, um, yeah, exercise and nutrition around illness. So, Alice, I'll let you take the first bit. So, if you want to do you want to do nutrition and I'll do exercise? There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Well split. Yeah, I think when you're not feeling very well, your body obviously needs to recover. And the best way to do that is to fuel it correctly. So if you are feeling a little bit under the weather, even if you feel like you need to increase your calories slightly, take yourself back up to maintenance to give yourself, enough nutrients that it needs to recover,
Yeah,
essentially. Um, Focus on your protein because that's really good for recovery, and focus on getting your fruits and veggies in as well,
yeah,
because all of those micronutrients. You can look to supplements like your vitamin C, because that's really good for your immune system, helping to boost that with your recovery. So think of your um, orange fruits. So if you're thinking of like your colors, if you go for your orange, like your carrots, oranges, citrus fruits,
yeah,
anything like that, you're going to be looking high in vitamin C. And then also, yeah, supplementing as well. Vitamin D, also really good for immune health as well. Which this time of year in the UK, we should definitely all be taking our vitamin D because we're not getting that much sunlight anyway. But it can also really help when you're ill, helps with the immune system. So keep yourself hydrated. Hydration's a really important one. Up your fluid levels slightly. Yeah, keep your protein, fruits and veggies high. But also the carbs because they'll just help give you that little bit of energy. There is actually I guess, a little bit of logic within like chicken soup when you're feeling under the weather, purely because it's got everything there. You know, your chicken and vegetable soup, you've got all your veggies in there, you've got your protein and your hydration because it's also liquidy.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't be too hard on yourself. Is definitely the main thing. Um, and yeah, really focus on those things. Like even like your lemon and ginger teas and things like that. Like ginger's actually quite soothing when you're not feeling well as well. So um, can be like a bit of a natural anti-inflammatory sort of thing, same with like your turmeric and stuffs, but people tend to take those. But yeah, essentially if you're just focusing on good nutrition, giving yourself a little bit more, like don't try and heavily restrict, don't try and put yourself in a huge deficit because your body needs the extra calories to recover. And yeah, focus on your protein, fruits and veggies, and maybe some supplements with your vitamin C and D.
Yeah, and I think also just with that one, I would add like sometimes you can suffer with illness. We can suffer with like some stomach upset. So
Yeah,
it's maybe trying to keep your foods fairly simple. But
yeah,
it is again, I think the thing because we're not feeling great, we kind of think it's beige food and we don't
comfort
tend to
foods
get,
and
yeah, so and that's absolutely fine, but I think primarily calories are the main concern, making sure you get enough fuel in for your body to recover, but absolutely it is trying to get that protein in, and then the supplements that Alice mentioned, that go for those. In terms of exercise, it's a kind of where it is and what you're suffering with. So, if it's a bit of a cold, movement is going to, as long as it feels manageable, movement is going to help. Getting outside into fresh air, just moving around generally, lightweight sessions. Don't try and push yourself. That's absolutely fine as long as it's a light illness. Um, I would never push yourself on that one, and it's particularly or intense exercise doing your hit and things like that because if you've got viruses or bacterial infections or anything like that, particularly viruses, if it's going around your body, you don't necessarily want to encourage it to be spread around your body anymore. And if we're going to do stuff that is going to massively raise your heart rate, really pumping the
yeah,
blood around, it's not a great idea. Also, as Alice says, we need energy to recover. We need energy to exercise. So if you're doing intense exercise, you're taking energy away from the body where it needs to try and keep your immune system up. So, use some common sense there. It's kind of rest. If your body's telling you to rest, rest. Drink plenty, and then it's light walking, that sort of stuff. Maybe very lightweight, shorter sessions if you feel that that is going to benefit you mood wise. I think that's probably the big thing there.
yeah,
Um, if you're looking at kind of bigger problems, so if you've got if you're taking medication for an infection, so if you've got a chest infection, if you've got a fever, if you've got a flu, something like that, don't exercise. Take a week, take 10 days, don't exercise. Go for a walk if you can do to get outside, get some fresh air. But it absolutely is vital that you let your body rest and recover. If you go back into the gym too soon, you're more likely to injure yourself. You're not going to get the progress, and you may end up extending your recovery period. So rest, make sure you're feeling well, and then train again,
yeah,
and then do everything that Alice said around the food.
yeah.
Cool. Those are the questions, and you know what? We managed to do that in like 20 minutes, I think.
We've done well.
Really well today. So yeah, the big takeaway is if you're ill, rest. Um, you know, absolutely rest. If you are stressed or work's busy, then really work on your planning. And I know we keep banging on about this every week, but this is something that
Yeah,
both
yeah,
of us will absolute. We have plans, and if we didn't have plans, our lives would completely fall apart. So
yeah,
yeah, absolutely plan, and it doesn't have to be down to the nth degree, but have an idea of what you're doing and have contingency plans, backup plans as well. So
yeah,
things in the freezer, ready meals and stuff like that. Remember consistency, and I keep saying this every week, both of us do, consistency over perfection. The reason we keep saying it is that it's absolutely 100% true.
yeah,
And give yourself some, I think, what was the phrase you used? Be nice to yourself, be kind to yourself, give yourself some leeway, you know, we're not expecting you to be nailing it every week. You are doing really, really well. I've seen the progress. I did the check-ins on Monday. Progress was great. And just keep going. And the last thing, really, we just need to wish Alec good luck for tomorrow's bloody resit. You
Yes,
will nail
we
it.
are gonna nail
You'll
it.
nail it. You nailed the first two parts.
We did. We did very well. And then obviously just went, no, we didn't even drop off a cliff for the last one. It was just
No, you
not
didn't drop off a cliff.
explaining ourselves.
Yeah, it was just it's little easily corrected
Yeah,
error.
exactly.
So
Exactly. So yeah, we've got it this time.
we have got it this time. All right, then, guys. I'll do check-ins as normal on Monday, and we will see you for the call same time next week. But it's bye for now.
Bye.